家好，欢迎各位朋友出席母语书籍展销会的分享活动。今天的活动是妈祖的传说的新书发布会，我们很高兴地邀请许振中作家兼插画家许分享他的作品，并讨论中华神话和艺术。这个节目是由亚太图书呈现，让我们邀请许振中和张凌颖上台，有请。
Hello，大家好，欢迎加入我们的直播发布会。我们今天在谈我们最新的出版作品《妈祖的传说》。Hello, good evening, and welcome to everyone who's joining our live stream today. Today, we are going to be launching our latest publication, The Legend of Mazu, which is a bilingual comic book, which is the reason why I'm speaking in both Chinese and English today. So for today's event, we will be using both Mandarin and English to share and introduce more about this book. So just please take note about that. And please bear with us because it will be a bit repetitive. Okay, so very quickly, today we are, 今天我们很荣幸有许正中Mitch 这个插画家妈祖的传说的插画家，今天跟我们一起做一个直播， so 很热烈的想欢迎Mitch 来参加今天的直播。So today we are very honored to have with us the artist and the creator of this book, The Legend of Mazu, the writer and artist Koh Chin Tong, who we also, we also call him Mitch, and I'll be referring to him as Mitch throughout today's session. Today we're very fortunate to have him here with us, and I will now introduce a little bit more about the program. 今天的节目，跟大家稍微介绍一下，我们今天会展示我们最新的出版作品《妈祖的传说》。Today we are going to share more about our new book, The Legend of Mazu, together with Mitch. 我们会做一些讲解，我们会讨论一下正中他做这本书的时候的想法，还有他的插画的过程。然后之后我们会做一个短短的一个直播示范，给大家看一下他画画的过程，跟大家分享一下他的感想。So for today's session, we will be doing several things. We'll first have a short introduction about the content of the book, as well as Mitch's his extensive knowledge of the Legend of Mazu, as well as other Chinese gods and iconography. And then following that, we will do a very short demonstration of Mitch doing one of the drawings and sharing his thoughts and process about the creative creation of this sequential art 连环画 style book. So with that, I shall start. Let's introduce Mitch in a bit more detail. So 我换去中文好 ，OK。我们现在开始讨论一下吧。所以今天很荣幸，正中有机会终于跟你现场做一个发布会。其实我们出版这本书的时候，废情非常严重，所以一向来我们做这些，好像开会啦，或者谈印刷的这些细节，全部都是在线上，沟通的。所以今天很高兴，终于有一个机会能现场，做一个发布会，可以跟大家分享一下这本书。这样我想，请你，跟我们做一个短短的，自我介绍吧。其实我们很多读者，这是你第一本亚太图书出版的书，所以大家想多认识你，希望你可以 做一些自我介绍。
大家晚上好，很荣幸可以在这里跟你们分享这本妈祖的书。这本书其实可能是我一生中就是这一本书，没有第二本了。所以我最重要的就是我很感谢Asia Pac 给我这个机会，因为我本身也不是一个很 established 的画家，所以这种机会是没有可能会来到我这里的。所以呢，就是因为这样，这一本书应该是有100张，里面的图应该有100张，所以每一张我的功力都要用到100%来把图画好。所以其实呢，还没有画的时候就要做很多功课。
对，其实现在我们换英语来再重复这个东西。So for those who are joining us here tonight, please bear with us with the English and Chinese back and forth. But I want to introduce Mitch to our readers who may not have met him in person before. Actually, it's a huge honor for us to be working with Mitch. This is his first book with us, The Legend of Mazu. And I'd like to invite him to share a little bit more about himself with you readers. So over to you, Mitch.
Hi everybody, thank you. Okay, this book may be my very first and could be the last, because I'm not exactly a very established artist, so to have this kind of chance to publish a book is actually quite impossible. Therefore, most importantly, today I need to convey my heartfelt appreciation to Asia Pac for granting me this opportunity, in fact a golden opportunity to do what I actually wanted to do all the while. So for this book, if I'm not mistaken, there are actually about 100 pages. So when I started doing this book, every page, I have to cherish every page to do it very well for each pages. So before I actually get to draw the pictures, there's an extensive homework to do before I get started drawing.
Yeah, I think anyone who has seen the book, whether that's online or whether you're seeing some of the videos that feature Mitch's artwork, I'm sure you can tell that there's very rich and detailed storytelling in every single page of this Mazu sequential art book, 连环画 book. And I think maybe this is a question that is more relevant to the English viewers for today. Actually, talking about drawing these spiritual or mythological characters, or some might even say religious characters. I think my question to you, Mitch, is also what does it mean to draw Mazu, to draw gods and goddesses?
What does it mean? As in,
what is a Taoist or iconography artist, so to speak? Yeah, I think people are curious about this because maybe for English readers, they don't have this concept. So earlier we were chatting about this. Remember we were talking about how actually to draw a story like Mazu's story is, there's so many challenges, and you already mentioned that there's so much homework to do.
Okay, actually for Mazu, this book, okay, first of all, this is not exactly a religious book, as in to telling you about how to pray and that kind of things. Basically, the approach of this book is a compilation of the folklore of Mazu. As a matter of fact, among the the gods of China, okay, she has one of the most titles and stories written about her. So some of these are the experiences of the people who claim that they have seen her or experienced some miracles, you see. So to do this book, I have to go through a lot of the entire archive of all these stories. But at the same time, I will also need to cross-reference because it's something like, for example, okay, this source says that, just for example, she saw a very big fish, but another source says that she actually saw another animal. So this kind of things we have to actually cross-reference to see which one is more reliable. So okay, so the next challenge is to interpret. That means from what we read, we have to interpret into pictures. That means that is when imaginations have to come in.
Yeah, I think that's something that's very important for readers to know when they look at this book, The Legend of Mazu. There is no source material, there is no one source material when it comes to the Legend of Mazu. This is a story that's largely told through oral history, through, say, like street storytellers over the years, and different books in different times will mention Mazu as this character. But I think this is probably the first book that's ever been published that shares such a complete telling of Mazu's story. And in that sense, I'm sure, in your research, we talked about this challenge a lot, right? There's sources that are in English, there's sources that are in Chinese, there are sources in different types of Chinese language as well. There are sources from Taiwan, from Hong Kong, from mainland China, and all these sources don't even tell you visually what the Mazu of story is like. So yeah, actually, Mitch, that's a very important part of this book, of us introducing this book. So I think just for everyone's sake, we can maybe talk a little bit, just go back to basics lah, and we share who is this character Mazu? Would you like to maybe give us in one or two sentences who is Mazu?
Okay, basically, she's actually a real person. A real person. She was born sometime at the beginning of the Song dynasty. If I'm not mistaken, it should be 960 AD. And what happened was that she was born in that place, Meizhou Island. So here's where the stories came in. Okay, the legends and all that. Is that she's not an ordinary child. Okay, in a way, she was a gift from heaven. Okay, a gift from heaven. So when I say a gift from heaven, right, this phrase, I will try to answer it for the Taoists and the Buddhists because there are actually two versions. But anyway, she's just a special child. So she grew up with special talents, and she's very kind. And she's largely involved in a lot of activities at the sea because they live at the sea. So yeah, the livelihood there, they depend on fishing. That's why they are seafarers.
Yeah.
So the thing is that according to the folklore, right, her life is already destined that she will. What's the better word? She will attain her enlightenment and rise to heaven at a very young age. So before this could be achieved or to take place, she will have to fulfill her oaths, all her oaths, and this and this will happen, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, to truncate the entire thing, but in between, right, in her lifetime, there were a lot of stories.
Yeah, that's a very good summary or say teaser to what the story and the character of Mazu is like. Okay, so once more, actually the bilingual back and forth, right? I let me just let the viewers know we won't keep this up the entire duration of the session. In fact, maybe only this part will speak more in bilingual. So Mitch, I'll have to trouble you to give us the same introduction, but this time in Mandarin. Yeah, tell us about OK， 等一下 OK， 换 channel OK， 我们现在所以正宗他刚刚跟我们介绍了妈祖的人物，其实跟我们讲的是一个其实是个很好很短的一个介绍。现在麻烦他帮助我们做这个介绍，用华语来介绍。
OK 妈祖，给他其实是在宋朝，这个是宋朝的宋朝的人，就是说意思是说，这个人是真的有这个人在宋朝。所以很简单的介绍哦，他是家中最小的一个，所以他是在湄洲岛长大，所以他小时候OK， 他小时候呢，他是一个不平凡的小孩子，所以从小就是一目过目这样讲一目不忘的那种天分，就是说一看他就可以记住，所以他读很多书，又学煎药啦、采药这些东西，所以好像很多那种神仙故事一样，他的故事大概是一样的，救人啦这些。不过呢，妈祖他就是生长在海边，因为这个地方他们的怎样讲？他们是靠打鱼，所以所以很自然，他后来就成为了海神。所以其实呢，他的命已经是定在他是要怎样讲达到他的承诺，他全部的他许下的承诺，然后呢，在道教我们就讲他就会飞升，就是说上天，所以那一天到了，他就爬到一个山上就飞上天了。不过呢，当然时间有限，就是这么短的介绍，但是他从小到他青年的时候也是有记载过很多灵验的故事，关于他的。
对对 ，OK， 很谢谢你的这个介绍。其实讲回这本书，我们今天要谈一下我们这本书中的那些话。正宗他不但写出了这个妈祖的故事，他自己研究了，然后写出了妈祖的故事。他其实画了每一面，是他自己的概念，他自己的构成，出来了。所以今天，很高兴有这个机会，可以比较仔细的看几幅画，然后看一下你的思想、你的概念是怎样创造出来的。然后想跟直播的朋友们也讲一个短的东西。我们从这里开始，我们会用比较多英语。我们这本书是一个双语的书，但是我的双语的程度就差不多到此了，所以抱歉，我会开始用比较多英语。So just to let viewers know, we are going to now look at some of the pictures that make up this book. the Legend of Mazu. And once again, this is a bilingual book. That's why we're choosing to make this program bilingual program. But from here, this point onwards, now that we've introduced the book and introduced Mitch in both Chinese and English, we will be speaking freely in the languages that we're more comfortable with. Okay, just a short disclaimer. Mitch. So actually what we wanted to do today was we wanted to go through in close detail some of the drawings that you did and to hear from you the kind of thought process that you had creating these images. So we have selected 2 pages that we want to talk about. Okay, I think we can look at the picture first. Yeah. You see the print. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
Which was?
Okay, let's choose. Which picture would you like to talk about first?
Up to you. This one.
Let's start with the picture of Mazu lah. Yeah, the one of Mazu as a child. I think that's a very interesting picture. Okay, wait. Let me just put it more in frame. Okay. Yeah. So for the viewers who are joining us, I think you can see on the camera, the overhead camera, we're looking at this picture of Mazu as a young child, and then she is doing something quite unusual. She's like climbing a mountain and picking some plants, which in this case is mushrooms. So yeah, Mitch, I find this picture very interesting. I'm very curious to hear from you your thought process when you created this image.
Okay, basically this page is, if I'm not mistaken, is talking about her young days when she was learning medicine. So thanks to all those Hong Kong movies, TV, that's why I have quite a lot of idea to how to actually interpret what I read to draw these pictures, you see. So okay, particularly this piece, so very typical, the olden days when they need to look for very special herbs, so you can see the lingzi and all this. They will have to climb, mountains, hazardous, mountains, very high mountains, where you can already see the clouds. In this picture, I'm trying to show the heights and how dangerous it gets, you see. And in spite of her age, she's very motivated to go gather special herbs to treat the needy, the people, you see. So this is basically all about this picture. So as for this, well, the typical, 煎药, spending hours and hours, brewing the medicine and all that, and drying the herbs.
Oh, okay.
See?
Yeah, actually, I mean, even when I look at it myself, I'm not so sure whether that is drying fish or drying plants or
all these are collection of memories from watching TV. Those typical. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like the significance of pictures like this. Maybe readers, they don't necessarily appreciate it immediately, but I think the impression you get is so immediate. You see someone climbing the mountain to pick the lingzi, and you know that this is a mystical object. The lingzi only grows, it only grows in the highest mountains, right? That's the whole story. So it's indeed I'm just curious also, how come you chose to show her doing this thing? I mean, what is the character that's being shown here to you?
As in like.
I mean, say in your own understanding lah. Like what does this action of, what is her personality or what is her character that is being shown here?
She will go all out. She will go all out because in all her stories, right? The folks like her a lot because she was she was into medicine and healing people.
Oh.
So in this interpretation, okay, I'm here to what I'm trying to convey in this piece is that she will go all out and unafraid of the danger. I mean in real life, if she falls, means
Yeah.
gone already. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
So she's a person with great skill. She has courage and
Determination.
And also, it's all for the helping the needy.
Yes.
Yeah. So this kind of imagery, right? Honestly, we're so lucky that every page of the book contains this kind of very vivid kind of storytelling. I mean, it may look like it's black and white artwork, but I do feel that the level of detail that has gone into every single one of these pages is so impressive. So yeah, I think this is, I guess, part of our introduction to Mazu. Then we wanted to talk about another image. Yeah, let's flip to the next one. Okay. So sharing these artworks with our readers here today. Yeah, let's deep dive into what's going on this page. So Mitch, can you describe to us kind of like what's happening in this page?
Which one? This one or this one?
We want to talk about the army,
This one.
right? Yeah, let's talk about that page. Very, very interesting.
Okay, this page. This page is actually on the final day when she. Okay, what in Chinese they would say is 飞升. So she actually rose to heaven. She rose to heaven and became the goddess. So it's very interesting, you see, if I could actually venture into this picture to show how she actually rose to heaven. So okay, considering her status in the Chinese pantheon, she's actually an empress, Tianhou.
Yeah, the Tianhou.
So it will be quite interesting to draw an entire army, heavenly soldiers. It's like a convoy that escorts her to heaven in this picture. So for Chinese,
can you break it down for us, some of the.
So for Chinese, they talk about 天兵天将, and then 龙车凤辇. That means what was that? That is the imperial carriage. So imperial carriage. So I have to draw this kind of the carriage and the escorts. The escorts and the soldiers to show a grand departure from mortal world. Yeah, that's the challenging part of drawing this picture.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that
because instead of drawing one person flying to heaven, it's like
Yeah, like visually it's very striking to see like this whole entourage. And then the curiosity for all of us readers is really, the carriage is not a simple or ordinary carriage. It's a dragon phoenix carriage. Can I translate it like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, this as a representation of her ascension is I think it helps to also put across to everyone that the ascension of Mazu is not to be one goddess, is to join the whole, is to become the empress of the gods, and to elevate to that status. I mean, it's quite interesting. Is there anything else about this picture that you think readers, maybe we might have missed like some of the smaller details?
This one.
Yeah, because there are so many small details and characters. Just wondering what.
Yeah, because actually for this book, right, to me, it's already like a temple inside one book. It's already like a temple because this is not the only picture. There are the rest of the other pages where there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of them that I drew all these soldiers. So in a way, I'm like presenting all the soldiers to the real God herself
Yeah, that's true.
from drawing a book, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, like I said earlier, you see, every single page I have to put in a lot of efforts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's not just one character to think about, but actually, you know, many thousands of years of visual culture, and you know, like say, symbolic. I mean, symbols, iconography, illustration, paintings, all the art history and representation history that we've seen of these gods. I think that's something that that readers should also consider when they look at this book. It gives a lot of visual context to the story, and in a pretty, I would say, pretty accurate way. Okay, so we've talked about all these things quite a bit. Actually, the main highlight for today is that we're going to do a short drawing demonstration. So while we do the demonstration, we'll also talk a little bit more about kind of your thought process lah. So, Mitch, thank you so much for agreeing to join us today. And yeah, let's start talking about your technique lah. Today, what will you be demonstrating for us?
Today, it's basically basically pencil drawing of Mazu, and just the typical Chinese way of most people would draw the kind of styles.
Yeah, so when you say that most Chinese people will draw it in this style, you're talking about the tradition now.
Not really tradition, but there are certain things that is just typical and just.
Okay, I see. Yeah, so let's talk about the story that we're going to draw today. So earlier before this we were talking about the story of Mazu, right? And then we decided that there's one very interesting episode in the book that we wanted to highlight for today's drawing demonstration. Let me go. Which page was it?
Yeah, I thought you put the
Okay, I'll just.
this book, right?
Okay. Sorry, please bear with me. Okay, so we're looking at page number 83. For the readers, I will. Sorry, let me sit down. For the readers, I will tell you the story, and then after that, Mitch, you can start drawing lah. So, this is on page 83 of the book. I'll start with the Chinese storytelling, which is 妈祖表示此妖不处，祸患无穷。Very strong words. Okay, 妈祖大发神威，在战燕公将他治凶。妈祖命令他统领水仙班，保护海上船民。燕公制服了，成为妈祖属下的总领。So that was the Chinese story on this page. As I will now give the English translation. If I don't eliminate this demon, the disasters will never cease, Mazu said. Using a huge amount of spiritual power, she subdued Yan Gong. She ordered him to lead her own fleet of naval lieutenants, the Water Immortal League. Yan Gong thus became one of Mazu's lieutenants. So that's the page that we're going to be talking about today for the drawing demonstration. And okay. So this is a page that Mitch actually had drawn more than 2 years ago, maybe 1.5 years ago. So I'm not sure if you really remembered what you drew in the previous page. But now let's look more closely. I'm going to be providing some light commentary while Mitch is doing his drawing. So starting out, Mitch is drawing a picture of Mazu. Mitch uses mainly pencil to do drawing. For the Mazu book, we had actually it looks like pen drawings. It's drawn in this like Bai Miao, black and white line art style. Actually, I think but for Mitch, actually he's a very comfortable digital artist and also a traditional medium artist. And he had drawn this book mainly using digital tools. But of course, as you can see from his drawing, he's very, very comfortable with pencil. And it's always very fun to watch him drawing. Mitch, whenever you have something to bring up, just share with us, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About those drawings,
No lah, while you're drawing, you're drawing very fast actually. I'm very impressed. Yeah. I don't know how many of our viewers here might have some drawing experience or whatnot. But
okay, actually this is very impromptu, so yeah.
Oh, but it's very impressive. So okay, so far, in just a few very, very short minutes, we have Mazu's face, her lovely expression, we have her hairdo, we have her neck and shoulders, and we have her arm, and is carrying a sword.
See, one thing
Yeah.
for us to draw Chinese gods, there's one thing is that we do not place, it's not like drawing,
Hua Mulan.
no, it's not like drawing typical anime or manga characters, Marvel characters. What is it is that we do not place a lot of emphasis on the bosom. The bosom means the chest.
Oh, the bosom.
So you can see that the kind of woman that we draw, right, for goddess, right, is actually, flat. So we don't place a lot of emphasis on this. This is one way, one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Chinese, generally even you look at paintings from the Tang Dynasty or Song Dynasty, there are certain silhouettes that are quite favored by Chinese painters, and it's definitely more minimal, more streamlined kind of shapes. Yeah, so talking about Marvel and comic characters, I brought up Hua Mulan. I was thinking about the Disney character lah. So actually, Mitch, what do you think of all these other Americanized Chinese characters? Like how do you feel when you look at these creations?
Actually, I did married some of the Western styles into this kind of drawing. That is how to say? That is the ink. How do I put it? There is the anatomy. Anatomy, you see.
Yeah.
So, like for example, in this already this posture is already moving closer to those Marvel styles already.
Yeah, it's very dynamic. It's very action comics.
Because you have to show how to say?
Drama.
Yeah, it's the drama. You see. So
Yeah. So I think that's something that our readers also maybe they don't realize. But actually, Mitch, you have a lot of experience in different kinds of drawings and different styles of drawings, right? And I think even though you have drawn this Mazu book in what appears to be a very Chinese Lianhuanhua style, I think there are some elements in it that people also don't. People might also find that it's influenced by the American comics or like American illustration styles that you're familiar with. Right. Okay, so coming back to the drawing, right? Just to kind of go back a bit into the details. So we have this pose of Mazu, right? She's like raising up her arm with a sword and she's about to strike something. I mentioned when I was reading from the book that this is Yan Gong. Actually, who is Yan Gong, Mitch? We didn't say what kind of person or what kind of thing he is.
Yan Gong, there is okay again Chinese folklore. There are always a few versions of it, the stories. So there is no right or no wrong. But I think one of which describes that he was actually some kind of corrupted priest or something like this, and he in the end when he fought with Mazu, right, he turned into a dragon to fight with her, and he is very very poisonous. This dragon will release very poisonous gas.
Yep. So
This
to
is-
give
yes.
Everyone a bit more context, so Yan Gong, he is a demon.
But in the end, he was recruited. He was recruited instead and became one of her assistants.
Yeah, exactly. So very successful vanquishing of the evil there. For those who have the book, Yan Gong, he's actually like a man with a long beard with a golden crown. That's how we described him in the previous pages of the book.
Actually, when I was going through, I don't even have a reference of how he actually looked like.
Yeah, that's so true. I have no concept of what Yan Gong looks like, and I mean for that I really give you a lot of credit lah. Cause I remember in all our discussions, we really have no way to visualize a lot of the things that you talked about, and it's so much up to interpretation.
But as a matter of fact, right, they do worship him in certain province in China.
Okay. That's something that's quite interesting about like Chinese mythology together with spirituality, right? Like say the gods that are worshipped in different places, often, it varies from place to place, right? Like say Neza in some places, he's a small god. In some places, he's the major god. Sun Wukong, I think the monkey god's birthday festival. So you have people who worship Sun Wukong as a monkey god, and then there are also some people that see Sun Wukong as just a character in a story. Say if you read COT and you know, let's say you play the computer games or you read the storybooks. So that's something quite interesting lah about Mazu. Mazu is worshipped in countries like say Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and of course Singapore and Malaysia. The reason for this, of course, is because she is the guardian of the seas. She's a very important goddess for the Ming Dynasty envoy Zheng He. So when Zheng He came down to Southeast Asia and when he traveled around the world, the god that he was paying to on the ships was Mazu. And that's why the story of Mazu and the culture of Mazu is so rich and so well developed in, I guess, parts of the world where there's Chinese diaspora. And actually, Mitch, talking a bit about that, right? In Singapore, how many Mazu temples are there? And, was this part of your research? As part of your research, have you visited any of these temples before?
Actually, there are numerous, but
Many, right?
one of I think the only one that I been to was Tianfu Gong.
Yeah, Tian Hock King Temple, the one at Anxiang, right? Anxiang Hill there, or Telok Ayer Street there. Is it Telok Ayer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what people did historically was they would come to places like Singapore and Malaysia, right? They would disembark from their ships, and then immediately they would set up temples for Mazu to thank her for protecting their journey. So that's why it's quite interesting. You see that, in Singapore, Tian Hock Kek is one example, one of the oldest temples in Singapore. There's also the Yue Hai Qing Miao, the Wak Qing, all these temples that are the oldest Chinese temples often are Mazu temples, because they would first make temples for Mazu when they landed in Nanyang. Okay, so actually coming back to the drawing now, I mean, to give some commentary, we're looking at a very interesting looking dragon. Very very detailed scales and horns on his head. Actually, Mitch, for you, do you often draw creatures, mythological creatures, like say dragons and all that?
Yeah, that one is actually, all these are actually quite important because we,
Is there a correct way to draw a dragon?
there are no correct or wrong ways, but for dragon wise, there is actually one thing that we have to take note also, is the number of claws. Because some people are quite particular. Anything that is for the emperor, right? No, that is not for the emperor. The dragon normally will draw 4 claws.
I
Then
see.
only for the emperor it will be 5 claws. But nowadays it's quite relaxed. So
There's no more emperor lah.
it's not that no more emperor, but it's how to say, maybe people are not so particular. But I mean, it really depends on the client.
The preferences and the knowledge there lah. Actually, it's interesting that you say that there's no right or wrong, because I think that's the important thing about when we talk about say iconography or art history, right? It's something that's built up by different people over the years.
Because all these are in Chinese, right? All these are 神兽. 神兽. So for artists like us, because most of the time sometimes we have to draw for temples or devotees. So we have to learn to draw all kinds of mythological animals because they are symbolic. They are symbolic, you see. So yeah, that's quite a number of animals to learn also.
Yeah. I think that's something that people need to, as in something that we also we don't have the impression immediately lah. It's actually very difficult to draw this kind of creatures. When they are not real lah. We don't have any references for how a dragon must look, and of course, like our research is something that you must really learn over the years through experience. Like say drawing things for different institutions, or say drawing things and researching over the years, then you learn the different ways of doing it. Yeah. So I mean, Mitch, the other thing you mentioned earlier, we were talking about drawing dragons and all that. Actually, what other kinds of drawing do you do nowadays?
Nowadays,
Yeah.
nowadays a lot Taoist deities.
How about your own other? Actually, can I talk about your other projects as well? The comics or the other stories that you work on?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, like I said, Mitch is very humble. Mitch is very humble, and I know that we don't often share too much about your other projects, but actually Mitch is a great comic artist. When I say that, like, you have experience drawing in that American comic style, is because actually, if for those of you who follow Mitch, his Facebook account, Spiritual Singapore, or say if you follow his Facebook artist account, you'll be able to see his various projects from time to time. It includes quite a few very interesting comic book, well, not comic book, web comic ideas. Like right now you have this illegal series of illustrations done in a comic book style. And then there's also the Abing, the story of Abing, the 故事, that you have also been posting about lately. So actually, for readers who would like to see more of Mitch's work, I strongly encourage you to check out his artist page and also his the Facebook community Spiritual Singapore. That's where you get to see more of his drawings from time to time. Okay, so looking back to the drawing now. Okay, I don't want to disturb Mitch at this point because I think it looks like he's doing more of the detail work now, and it's very fascinating to kind of see how he's adding in all the details and highlights into this story, into this composition as we speak. I think for all of us here, it's not often at all to see someone who can draw with pencil to this kind of like skill level. So I'm learning a lot here. Yeah, and of course, like working on this book, editing and translating it. The thing that we are always the most sad about is that we don't get to spend more time with the artists while they're working on the creations. Cause of course, like we learn so much looking at your artworks and from looking at your drawings, and it's really a pleasure to be able to see you drawing these for us also. Okay, so we're seeing some water. Okay, this part is very high level. For those of you who, as in, if anyone tuning in is an artist, I mean, the way that Mitch draws water is actually very interesting. When you see this inside the book, the way that he draws like Mazu when she's swimming underwater, the way that he draws like the sea and the clouds, like during like episodes where like a wave is crashing down on a ship. For example, we have some really amazing pages of artwork where you can see more of Mitch. It's quite I think the style is very unique. We have done the book in this very, very Chinese kind of style, but I think the way the poses are drawn, the anatomy is drawn is also something quite interesting. It definitely adds to our own visual understanding of all these different stories. Mitch, can you tell us a bit what detail are you putting in now?
Oh, the clothes.
This particular, like her clothing, right? Actually, how do you conceive of what Mazu wears, like her costuming?
Actually, it's I got to invent it on the way as I draw. But it's a typical Song dynasty kind of clothes.
Song dynasty. So Song was after the Tang dynasty, right? And then Song dynasty, actually they are more covered up, right? This is the era in history where like Confucianism was I think it was I mean, do you agree, Mitch? What do you think about that?
Huh?
Like, do you feel that the Song dynasty was a more conservative and Confucian kind
Wow,
of
this
thing?
one is quite difficult to answer.
Okay.
This one, because
Yeah.
it's very, very subjective.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
true.
But one thing about when I started this book is that before I actually even started drawing, I got to start thinking of an impression and to create a character profile for this mythology. So
Character design.
so most of the time, if you notice, right, my version will be barefoot
Yeah, how come?
because in the sea, I think it's more logical. I don't think it will make a lot of sense to be wearing shoes. You see. So
Wow, yeah, that's quite true.
and
Yeah.
then her hairstyle is another thing. Is that this is real because this is where I actually found out that it has become a traditional hairstyle for the people living in that island.
In 湄洲岛.
Yeah, and she invented this hairstyle that actually looks like the sail for the boat.
Yeah, it does look like the sail of a boat. I mean, like, say if you've seen pictures of like Chinese ships, you know, say like Zheng He's ships, or say like even Chinese junk ships. That's what her hairstyle looks like. And actually, I would say, you know, if you go to a Mazu temple, right, you don't get to see her hairstyle. So it's actually quite a challenge to represent this in such detail lah.
Because if you go to the temple, she's already wearing the crown, so
Yeah, exactly, the crown.
so you don't see a lot of the hair.
Yeah, I think that's also part of what makes the story so interesting. Of course, there are pictures of Mazu in her kind of royal, heavenly empress costume, but we also get to see her in so many different iterations. You know, you get to see her as a child, you know, with the very kind of like childish bun hairstyle, and then you also get to see her through the different periods where she's learning to use her supernatural powers, and then also where before she ascends to heaven. At that point, she was already kind of like a guardian angel for the community that she lived in. And then I think that's also something that's very nice to see in the book. There's a very interesting evolution of her character and how that's expressed through the character design. Wow, okay. So talking about her being barefoot, yeah. I think I would just like to remind all our readers that it's very difficult to draw feet and hands nicely. I mean, people always talk about drawing hands nicely, right? Like it's a very important skill, but drawing feet nicely is, to me, a even more rare skill. And yeah, I think this image that we're looking at here, you know.
Okay, actually what I'm doing here is actually more of a sketch only. It is actually part of a process of drawing that book,
Yeah.
because before that I will have to sketch something with a composition. Then it's just like the process of doing comic books. The process of penciling, and later on we'll move in with the inking. Just like for this book, we have no coloring.
Yeah, so it looks like we're kind of finishing up this drawing already, looking at some of the final details here. So Mitch, whenever you're ready, actually for you doing this sketch, it's been about 30-ish minutes or so.
So one of the last thing that
Yeah.
for a picture to complete a picture, right, it's always the drama. Then you have to add some of these clouds or things.
Yeah, so you're adding in now. There's some clouds. There's some very high waves over here as well.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So you've been drawing non-stop for half an hour. Is this complete?
Mm,
Okay,
yeah.
you can sign the
Fine.
to finish a painting or drawing. You should always sign off. And then I think we'll give the viewers a closer look at the artwork now that it's done. Okay, just to bring it up a bit closer and to show everyone the detail. So, of course, we will like to show this to all our viewers in as much detail as possible. And thank you so much, Mitch. Actually, it's a huge honor and privilege to be able to watch you drawing. I mean,
Likewise.
yeah, like you're very humble about your achievements and your skills, but you know, for us, it's really a privilege to work with you, lah. there is really no one better to tell the story of Mazu, or say to tell the stories of Chinese gods and goddesses in our books. And yeah, coming right now, I think we're coming to the end of the live stream. So for those of you who tuned in, thank you so much for joining us with today's live stream. We'll like to also invite everyone to continue to connect with us online. Aside from today's live stream, we do other online events every now and then. We also have a lot of events, a lot of videos on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page. So please do join, subscribe to all these different outlets as well. And then Mitch, for you, okay, I think you must be quite tired because you really sat there and draw non-stop for 30 minutes. It's extremely impressive. How do you feel?
Huh?
Are you okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is it very stressful to draw on camera?
Quite because I spend a lot of time alone when I'm doing all these things. So this is the very first time I'm drawing with people watching and talking to people.
Yeah.
Because for me, normally I just shut myself in a room all by myself drawing. So it's quite different.
Yeah, it's a very I'm sure yeah, like, you know, it's always best to be able to focus on your own and finish the drawing. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I mean, for me, it's been really exciting to watch you drawing, you know, all the different details, the expression, the clothing, the backgrounds, all these things are so you know, you do it in a very detailed way. You also do it in a way that's very unique to you. You know, it's a combination of like Western influence as well as the Chinese traditions that we see. So yeah, I think so. We've come to the end of today's live stream. Mitch, do you have anything else that you'd like to say to our viewers? You can say in English or Chinese. Okay, you're good. Okay. Yeah, I think quite. Yeah, it's been quite a long 1 hour. So yeah, I think we're going to close off now. So once again, thank you so much to everyone who's joined our live stream today. Please stay in touch with us online. Check out the book on our website, asiapackbooks.com, and also do check out our Facebook and YouTube page for more videos and live streams from the past and also in the future. So wishing everyone a very good evening. Please take care, you know, and we hope to see you all again really, really soon. Yeah, and thanks so much to Mitch. Thanks so much to everyone who's been helping us with the Mother Tongue Language Bazaar. Thank you and good night. Thank you.
我们感谢并欢迎您参与母语书籍展销会活动与节目。为期7天的展销会从9月13日起到19日举行，我们为您准备了一系列精彩的活动，还有吸引人的书籍促销与优惠。请浏览展销会网站 Book Bazaar.sg 了解详情。